Good morning. Good morning. I greet you with love and peace, and I welcome you to the Sophomore Convocation at Stanford University. We are delighted to formally welcome the class of 2024 to campus today. Yes. As is our tradition at these momentous university events, we pause to acknowledge the land on which the university stands and the peoples that steward it. I invite you to stand as you are able, and please remain standing through the land acknowledgement and invocation to follow. Please rise as you are able. I am pleased to introduce Class of 2024, Ryan Duncan, member of the Chickasaw Nation and Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and Jade Arujo, Tlingit, Athabaskan, and Aquinnah Wampanoag.
Stanford sits on the ancestral lands of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe.
This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people.
Consistent with our values of community and inclusion,
we have a responsibility to acknowledge, honor, and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples.
And now, as we begin this long-awaited sophomore convocation at the end of a long, difficult year, and also on the threshold of the hope and promise of a new academic year beckoning, let us invoke a spirit of love which binds all things together in our midst, using the words of Maya Angelou, that we might acknowledge where we have been and together take courage for the journey that lay ahead. Touched by an Angel by Maya Angelou. We, unaccustomed to courage, exiles from delight, live coiled in shells of loneliness until love leaves its high holy temple and comes into our sight to liberate us into life. Love arrives, and in its train comes ecstasies, old memories of pleasure, ancient histories of pain. Yet if we are bold, love strikes away the chains of our fear from our souls, and we are weaned of our timidity. In the flush of love's light, we dare be brave. And suddenly we see that love costs all we are and all we will ever be. Yet it is only love which sets us free. May it be so. Amen. Please be seated. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, Sarah Church.
Thank you, Reverend Bruniger, for that inspiring invocation. So on behalf of the Stanford faculty and staff, I offer greetings and gratitude to all who have gathered today at this truly momentous and historic sophomore convocation. To the class of 2024, there are 3 words I've been so impatient to say to all of you for the past year. welcome to campus. We're so thrilled to have each of you here with us in person at last. And while we continue to navigate the complexities and frustrations and tragedies of the global pandemic and the necessary restrictions that are still in place to keep you and the broader Stanford community as safe as possible, we have many reasons to celebrate and to be thankful that we are together for this occasion, marking this milestone with you. Having been at Stanford for more than 20 years, actually, I'll just pause for a minute. We have a little bit of something going on here. As you see, we welcome all voices at Stanford. I do hope that they will, however, let you see the stage. We're very pleased to have parents here. I'm now fortunate enough to be your Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. I can say that in all those years, I've never been more proud of this university and so appreciative of the incredible people who make up our Stanford community. And that includes each of you. You persevered, you showed grit, you demonstrated tenacity and patience and courage, and so much more. What you've accomplished is by all measures extraordinary. I hope you are as proud of yourselves as we are of you. This is no small feat. It's a testament to who you are and why you belong here, and what a unique journey you've been on. Unlike the Stanford undergraduates who preceded you, the majority of you began your college experience and navigated the entirety of your first year of Stanford coursework from a distance. We know that each of you brings with you experiences from that time that have shaped you, including persistence and determination, but also loss and grief. We honor you and your experiences here today. I've had the opportunity to meet with your parents and family members over the past couple of days, and they have told me how much they told me how much you are enjoying meeting friends that perhaps you have known only virtually, although I'm sure your parents are delighted to meet your friends as well. They told me stories. They told me about the joy of moving you into your dorm rooms, about your excitement to be here at last, and your hopes for the coming year. They told me about your struggles over the past year and how proud they are of you, of your growth and your resilience. These qualities will serve you well as you embark on your sophomore year. Now that you're here, you will have incredible opportunities for these interactions you've missed. Whether it's chatting with a professor after class, joining a club, late night discussions with friends about issues you care about deeply, you'll have a chance to work face-to-face with the incredible scholars who are here at Stanford. You'll be planning perhaps for overseas study, new research opportunities, perhaps a quarter of cardinal service. Things are about to get very exciting, and you have much to look forward to. Along the way, though, you may encounter a new set of academic and social pressures as you develop new friendships, move through more advanced courses, and begin facing sophomore decisions like choosing a major. I'm here to tell you that this is perfectly normal. Perhaps you've heard of a term that originated at Stanford called duck syndrome. Now, if this isn't familiar to you, the term refers to a very common experience that students have at Stanford, and of course at any number of other academically rigorous environments. Imagine, if you will, a duck, gracefully gliding across the water's surface, a vision of serenity without any obvious care or concern. Meanwhile, under the surface, in the murky depths, where things can't be seen quite so clearly, a duck's feet are moving rapidly, chaotically, frantically. What we see on the surface doesn't reveal the actuality of what may be happening underneath. And if you happen to find yourself in that frantic state this year, remember, you don't have to do this alone. You've done a brilliant job navigating a very difficult first year of college. And from now on, you have the enormous advantage of very close access to any number of people and resources that can help. Stanford is home to faculty, staff, and fellow students who truly care about you, your well-being, your ideas, and your futures. Be honest and open with them, even if it feels a little uncomfortable, and they will help you think how to move forward through any situation. Now, there are 3 words that you should never be afraid to use as often and as loudly as you need to. I need help. We know that your unusual journey means that you are very familiar with parts of Stanford while others are completely new to you. There are many in this community ready to help, prepared to listen, equipped with tools and resources that can help you get through academic challenges or other difficulties that almost all Stanford students face. You're never alone. Remember that you're part of our community because we know how much you bring with you, perhaps more than any other class. We have already had the privilege of interacting with you and hearing your goals and dreams. Now you're here, and you will enrich our community in innumerable ways. I can't wait to see what you do with your time at Stanford. Once again, welcome to campus. I'm so thrilled you're here. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce someone who you already likely know well, someone who's central to your undergraduate experience and who is one of the many of us who are supporting you and cheering you on. Our fabulous Senior Associate Vice Provost and Dean of Students, Mona Hicks.
Welcome home, class of 2024. That's right. Home, H-O-M-E. This 4-letter word is so powerful. In fact, home can be 3 powerful things for us. A place where you belong, a state of being where you're empowered to be yourself, and a purposeful foundation. Before I really begin, I have to share that I get super nervous when I do public speaking. I don't hate it, but I really enjoy it when it's over. But I want to share with you today, it's truly from the heart, because in my reflection, I found that I identify with your class more than any other and my interactions with you through the Frosh Council and the newly appointed ASSU senators have been so special in helping me transition to Stanford. So here we go. When I started my Dean of Students journey here at Stanford in January 2020, it was, in a word, intense. I had some career-defining experiences from the start, got sick, which is so stressful because who really wants to get sick in their first month on the job? And I was selling my house in St. Louis. This is the first home that I ever purchased, and I did not know what I was doing when I did that, so I certainly did not know what I was doing when it was time to sell. So I moved to California with, let me see here, a bed, dining table, desk, chair, and sofa. And I was committed to not spending any money and being super disciplined until that house was sold. Now, let me pause here and acknowledge that this is a super developed world story. I'm blessed, okay? But my point is that my house here was not yet a home. In fact, it looked like I was starting my first job and not my 6th in higher education. But more profoundly, let's fast forward to the day of my house closing, March 6, 2020. I actually missed, sorry parents and families, but I actually missed the pandemic tabletop session at work because I was completing the closing and expediting some paperwork. Little did I know what I had missed. Shortly thereafter, that same day, we did our first COVID student case response, and then we were off on this 18-month public health journey. Clearly, I did not feel that I belonged, nor comfortable enough to be myself, or feel that I was operating in my purpose at Stanford. For months, I was definitely putting that evil imposter syndrome in my coffee every morning. Why I'm telling you this is because I acknowledge that your start to Stanford may have been kind of similar. Well, take a deep breath now. Take a deep breath. You are home now. We are home now. So to that first point, you belong here. Believe that you belong here. We reframed our entire paradigm to ensure that you do. Community and belonging are at the cornerstone of our new neighborhood model. Belonging, we want each of you to feel seen within our communities, feel connected, cared about, accepted, respected, and valued. The best definition of community that I have found is this critical notion that we want you to be empowered to find fellowship with others where you can, always have a sense of support and welcome. You're home. You belong. The second best thing about being at home is where you're empowered to be yourself. You know that feeling when you walk in the door and you take off your shoes, some of you take off all your clothes. You are empowered to be yourself. Cover your ears, parents and families. Class of 2024, let your freak flag fly. That's right, go in. James Baldwin once said, "Perhaps home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition." This is the time in your life where we can explore who you are. What do you want to learn? What are your values? What does it mean to be a friend? What does it mean to be in community? Who is it that you want to be in this world? It's important that you learn to be yourself with integrity and try not to harm others along the way. That is your irrevocable condition. Trust me, I plan to wear Jordans every day. Why? Because I'm old. My joints hurt. That is my one flex, and that's my business. I started watching the series Manifest on Netflix. Have you heard of this? Oh, Lord. Y'all, if I got off a plane today and they said to me, "Dr. Mona, welcome to September 8th, 2026, best believe I would go right back on that plane, go right back to my seat assignment, put my seatbelt on, press the flight attendant button, and say, "Take me back to reality." This show is bananas. It makes me a little mad, but I can't stop watching it. But the hook is that in the midst of all that nonsense, each person starts to settle into their home as they settle into their new purpose. Or as the show says, their calling. Which connects to this last point. You have a purpose. Believe that. What is purpose? When you find your purpose, who you are aligns with your passion and your goals. Purpose is where your aim, design, and determination align. Last fall, when I was invited to your Frost Council, they represented meetings. It was the first time in several months where I was meeting with students just to get to know them, for them to know me. And then I asked if I could come back because it felt so joyful. I felt joyful. Over time, this was a space where students could ask hard questions, heartfelt questions, share frustration, be awkward, and laugh. I was so honored to accompany this space. I likely needed that space more than your peers did, I'm sure. I'm sure they will tell you. And people noticed that I'd been with you because I would have a little bit of a lift, a little swag the next day. So thank you. The time I spent with your class is when I returned to my foundation and my purpose, because it is my destiny to help young people find theirs. Therefore, why believing you have a purpose matters so much, because even when you may not believe you belong, and even when you are not yet able to grasp or do not yet fully know who you are, remember that you have a purpose here on earth. You have a purpose here at Stanford. That will get you through most situations. After all, that is part of what has gotten you through these past 18 months. You have a purpose here. You are home. T.S. Eliot once said, "Home is where one starts from." And believing you have a purpose, in the words of Ted Lasso, will make doing the right thing never the wrong thing. So let today, September 19th, 2021, be that new start. Do not forget, you are loved. You matter, and you are not alone. Why? Because believe that you are home. Believe this is where you belong. This is where you are empowered to be yourself, and this is where you will begin to find your purpose. Because of you, I know I did. Class of 2024, welcome home. And I could probably never say this again, but if you believe that this is your home, keep that close to your heart. And in the words of one of my favorite Kendrick Lamar songs, other than the Black Panther album, we gonna be all right. Thank you. And now it is my honor to invite to the podium Shreya Guha, our student speaker. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Tessier Levine, Provost Drell, Vice Provost Church, Dean Shaw, Dean Hicks, faculty, trustees, and our most important guests, all of you. It's an honor to be speaking to you today as many of you start your journey at Stanford. 3 years ago, I moved into room 219 in Larkin and attended Convocation in Main Quad. My heart was beating fast with the excitement of what was to come. Paving my own path, having independence, and also finally learning how to ride a bike. But at the same time, I felt overwhelmed by the vastness of Stanford and how to navigate it. I didn't really know how to get my head around the idea that this campus was going to be my home for the next 4 years. I didn't really know what I wanted to major in. I had no idea what clubs I wanted to join, and I wasn't sure where on this large campus I was going to fit in. In fall quarter, I took an intro seminar called Self Theories taught by Professor Carol Dweck. As some of you may know, Professor Dweck is a leading academic responsible for much of the research behind the growth mindset theory, a groundbreaking concept in social psychology. Professor Dweck's research suggests there are two mindsets, fixed and growth. With a fixed mindset, you believe your intelligence and abilities cannot grow regardless of time and practice. With a growth mindset, you believe that you can improve certain skills or attributes through effort and persistence. The class focused on developing this growth mindset and understanding how to implement it in daily life. An important realization I had in this class was that developing a growth mindset involves working through discomfort. For one assignment, we were required to do something outside of our comfort zone. At the time, I was surprised that someone so respected in their field cared about a bunch of 18-year-olds confronting their fears. And honestly, it felt like a challenge I wasn't up for. The week before the assignment was due, I listened to my classmates talk about asking their crushes out on dates, and trying out for new clubs while anticipating rejection. Inspired by my peers, I decided to have a vulnerable conversation and contact an old friend with whom I had had a falling out. It was a shot in the dark, and I felt scared not knowing the outcome. To be honest, the conversation did not provide the closure I was hoping for, but I was so proud of myself for taking that step, even though it felt uncomfortable. At the end of the quarter, I promised myself I wouldn't let this practice become a one-time event. I would challenge myself to keep growing during my Stanford journey. In time, I learned to grow more comfortable being uncomfortable, trying new things, and taking risks. One risk that ended up working out well was my decision to apply to a summer sophomore college class called America in One Room, despite having no expertise in political science. As a part of the class, we traveled to Texas to observe 500 Americans across the political spectrum debate contentious issues in a national experiment on deliberative democracy. Due to a last-minute problem with the company hiring moderators, the organizers of the experiment asked our class to step in and moderate these conversations. Feeling a bit brave, but also curious, I volunteered to moderate in one of the rooms. Listening to individuals open up and discuss issues that they were passionate about or directly impacted by encouraged me to center humanity in the midst of politics. Stepping up and accepting the challenge of moderating resulted in me adopting a more empathetic approach in regards to thinking about issues both big and small. In my sophomore year, I started thinking about applying to be an RA in a Frosh dorm the following year. I was excited to share my Frosh experience with residents and play a role in their special moments and experience all the awe and wonder of Frosh year. But I was very hesitant at first. I had an idea of what someone staffing should be like and do on campus, and it just felt like I wasn't good enough or had done enough to be that person. I looked around at my peers who were applying and wasn't sure if this job was for me. But recalling Professor Dweck's class on having a growth mindset, I thought about what I promised myself at the end of fall quarter my Frosh year. I decided that if staffing was important to me, and it was, then I just had to go for it. I had to believe in myself and my capabilities. I chose to trust my own experience and knowledge and told myself that I could foster community and create a safe home, regardless of what I thought an RA should look like. I ended up applying and staffing Burbank in winter and spring of last year. Over the next year, I became very grateful for that one leap of faith I had taken. Though staffing in a year with a pandemic and unprecedented circumstances was pretty hard, I also learned so many invaluable lessons. I learned about my own strengths and weaknesses through working on a team, how to foster community, and talk about sensitive situations. But I also learned so much from my relationship with others. In one of my favorite books, When Breath Becomes Air, Paul Kalanithi writes, "Human knowledge is never contained in one person. It grows from the relationships we create between each other and the world, and still, it is never complete." Kalanithi was right in that human relationships form the basis for all the knowledge we have. Every lunchtime conversation or late night study session with residents in the Burbank Library or staff meeting forced me to think of something differently or consider an opinion I had previously disregarded. For every challenge I faced while staffing, I can also think of multiple moments of immeasurable growth, reflection, and rewarding experiences. When I think about who I was when I started Stanford and who I am now, I realize that the biggest difference is a stronger sense of self. For me, the last 3 years have been an opportunity to define myself both in and out of the classroom. I've forced myself outside of my comfort zone and defined my own values and priorities. It's not necessarily an easy journey. It's hard to leave your home and the comfort of everything being familiar. But it's also intensely rewarding and exciting. And most importantly, you don't do it alone. Every student brings a different story and experience to this community. Stanford is a rich and vibrant mosaic knit together with each student's distinctive journey and experience. Looking back at it now, when I started my journey, it felt like I had the world at my fingertips in terms of who I wanted to be, and so much support, no matter which direction I went. The next few years will be full of ups and downs, from meaningful friendships to hard exams and assignments. You'll have eye-opening conversations in the dining hall, take classes you're truly passionate about, and find so many more ways to challenge yourself and grow. Today is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see where it takes you all. Thank you. And now it is my honor and pleasure to introduce the president of Stanford University, Mark Tessier-Levine.
Well, thank you, Shreya, for sharing your story with us this morning. To our sophomores and your families, welcome to Stanford. And for the many of you who recently arrived at Stanford for the first time, we've been waiting for you. It's so good to have you here. I hope you've spent some time over the past few days discovering all that our campus has to offer, exploring the beauty of our surroundings, and enjoying late-night chats with friends you've connected with over the past year, or with new friends you've met over the past few days. With our full student body invited back this fall, and with many faculty and staff members coming as well, it really feels like our campus is coming back to life. And class of 2024, your arrival, after so much anticipation, is especially meaningful. One of my brightest memories from the past year involves meeting a group of you one day on campus last spring when we could finally interact more with one another. The group had an excitement that was infectious. They eagerly told me about the courses they were taking, their favorite spots on campus, and of course, what this unusual time had been like for them. But above all, they told me they were looking forward to having all of you here to finally have a chance to meet in person the friends they'd met remotely throughout the year. For me, it was a poignant reminder of how much I've missed in-person interactions with our students, from visiting the dorms to the chance encounters I have with students on campus every day. To finally have all of you here in person and in one place is truly wonderful. It gives me great joy and hope for the year ahead. We are so glad that you're here. I also want to thank your parents, families, and loved ones, both those who are here at Convocation in person and those who are joining us via live stream. While we're welcoming you to our campus today, many of you have welcomed Stanford into your homes over the past year. You've watched your students connect with peers remotely from your dining room table, or listened in on discussion sections taking place in your living room. I know this last year isn't what you imagined when you looked ahead to your student attending college. Whether your student has been at home, on campus, or elsewhere, you have played a critical role in supporting them in navigating the uncertainties of this year. You've made personal sacrifices. You've helped manage disappointments. And you've adjusted course as needed over the past year. I speak on behalf of our full faculty and staff when I say, thank you. We are profoundly grateful. Today may also be a day of mixed emotions for you. Pride that your student is here at Stanford, hope for the future, but also a bit of nervousness as they begin a new year here on our campus. In these uncertain times, you may be feeling even more apprehensive. I want to assure you that we are committed to supporting your students, helping them to thrive here at Stanford, and equipping them with the skills and knowledge they will need to live happy and fulfilling lives. Your students' health and well-being are our top priority, especially as we navigate the ongoing pandemic. We're taking the utmost care in every decision that we make for their safety, and we will continue to care and support them throughout their years here at Stanford. That is our pledge. And for our students, all of you and all of us living together in community rely on one another for our health and well-being. We're all responsible for making this a productive and enriching fall quarter, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you for doing your part by participating in surveillance testing, indoor masking, and our other health and safety measures. We very much hope that many of these measures will be temporary. The adjustments we've had to make throughout the pandemic point to how much this experience has altered our world and how much it has affected each of us personally. Each of you is arriving with a different experience of the past year. Many of you were home with your families. For some of you, that may have involved additional responsibilities like assisting with caregiving or helping younger siblings learn remotely, even as you juggled your own coursework. Some of you have been with us on campus. You've been able to get to know our physical campus, but you've been waiting for the full experience of Stanford with your peers. Some of you had the opportunity to connect with one another in person off campus by forming pods or through local meetups. Others have struggled to find community and connection throughout the pandemic. Many of us have missed personal milestones, and some of us have lost loved ones to COVID-19. Whether you've been on campus, at home, or elsewhere, your experience has probably felt a little bit like receiving individual tiles of a mosaic. You've taken classes, met some of your peers, participated in remote extracurricular activities, but the experience has been fragmented. This isn't all bad. It's given you the opportunity to focus on individual relationships, projects, and ideas. You've gained experiences, insights, and perspectives through the challenges of the last year. But you haven't had the full picture in place. Now that you're here, you have the opportunity to put those pieces together, to make your experience whole, to develop the full, rich mosaic of what Stanford will be for you. As I think about the past 18 months, one thing that has been laid bare is that our world faces many challenges, from global disease to racial and economic inequities, to misinformation, to the climate crisis. And the pandemic has revealed how much we must rely on one another to solve our great challenges. Stanford was created to do just that. Jane and Leland Stanford established this university in memory of their son to generate knowledge not for its own sake, but for the benefit of humanity. If we take anything from our experiences during the pandemic, it should be to re-engage with the world and with one another with a renewed sense of purpose and with an urgency to make the most of the opportunities in front of us. In the time that I have with you today, I want to encourage you, as you develop in-person connections with your peers and with our campus, to also use this time for deep and personal engagement in 3 ways: with your academics, with your community, and with our wider world. First, I hope you'll use this time, now that you're back on campus, to re-engage intellectually and to sample widely Stanford's exciting academic offerings. At last year's virtual convocation, I reflected on how the world can change in an instant, and how you can prepare for a future of continued change by exploring broadly during your time here. This is as true today as it was then. Intellectual exploration is both personally enriching and an excellent preparation for your future. As you enter your sophomore year, you may be thinking more intentionally about your academic path with an eye toward your future goals. That's natural, that's good, that's important. But I also encourage you to continue building a broad intellectual foundation through experimentation and exploration. It will help you discover interests you didn't know you had, develop new skills, and uncover new ways of seeing the world. As part of your academic exploration, I also strongly encourage you to participate in hands-on research now that you're here on campus. no matter what your discipline is, you have opportunities to pursue independent research, undertake departmental research, or join a team working on faculty-led research. By doing so, you'll create satisfying partnerships with faculty members and have the opportunity to make real contributions to human knowledge. Perhaps even more importantly, doing research will help you learn how to ask and answer precise questions and how to assess the strength and limitations of conclusions that can be drawn from the data you generate. In short, research will make you a better critical thinker, helping prepare you for the challenges the world will throw at you when you leave. I also hope that over the past year, you've had the opportunity to get involved in some of Stanford's more than 600 student-led organizations. Now that you're here in person, I encourage you to engage even further, to reconnect with groups you've already joined, and to explore others, maybe even some outside your comfort zone. In short, during your time here, I urge you to be endlessly curious. Second, as you begin to meet one another in person, I encourage you to embrace this opportunity to engage fully in our community. One way to do so is to explore our campus, to go to art exhibits, attend athletic events and musical performances, even fountain hop. As we come together in one place, part of our job is rebuilding a strong and inclusive Stanford community, one that reflects the creativity and perseverance that all of you have displayed over the past year. That's why I'm so excited that this fall, we're launching our new residential initiative, ResX. Under ResX, each of you has a neighborhood home base that will be the focal point of your residential experience here at Stanford. The neighborhoods aim to develop strong foundations for healthy and vibrant student communities that prioritize belonging, well-being, equity, and inclusion. Each neighborhood will also provide academic and intellectual enrichment outside the classroom. Most of all, they will be a place where you have the opportunity to develop rich social networks and deep friendships with your peers, many of which will last a lifetime. Both in the residences and beyond them, you'll meet fellow students, faculty, and staff members from all walks of life and all corners of the globe. Stanford is a place that deeply values the diverse experiences and perspectives that all members of our community bring. For many of you, this may be the most diverse community you've ever been a part of. It may even be the most diverse community you are ever a part of. This provides you with a crucial opportunity to broaden your worldview, to better understand the lives of others, and to sharpen your own perspectives. Learning from one another and from our differences enriches each of us, as well as our entire community, and we are continually working to create a more accessible, diverse, and equitable university. That brings me to my third point. I encourage you to use your time here at Stanford to engage with and open your mind to the wider world. For many of us, it may have seemed that our lives narrowed over the last 18 months as we navigated shutdowns and other public health restrictions. As we begin the fall quarter, I hope you will take the opportunity to broaden your horizons once again. One way is by getting involved in Cardinal Service, which supports students in using their knowledge and skills to address real-world problems through hands-on service work, both in our local community and around the world. Another way will be inside the classroom, where you'll each contend with challenging ethical and social problems in your field. The past 18 months have shown us that we need leaders who think deeply about the world's problems, who are devoted to active citizenship, and are prepared to contribute to the advancement of human society. In order to make real impact in our world, you will need to know how to encounter a diversity of perspectives and engage in productive conversation across areas of disagreement. In fact, learning how to disagree without being disagreeable is an important skill for you to hone as you prepare for the complex and multifaceted world that awaits you. This is a point you may have heard me making in other places recently, but it goes right to the heart of our university community, and so I want to reiterate it to you here today as well. We at the university have an expectation of each of you that in your time on campus, you will engage with fellow students, faculty, and staff in a manner that honors the dignity of each member of our community and their right to their opinions, even when you disagree strongly with what they're saying. Why do we have that expectation? One of your most important tasks during your time at Stanford is to experiment with ideas, to explore challenging issues and test solutions to problems in every field. For you to fully engage in this exploration, you must encounter a variety of opinions and deeply held beliefs. That means that we have an obligation to provide you with an environment where ideas can flourish, and each of you has a role to play in contributing to open, tolerant, and productive discourse on our campus. So as you encounter one another anew this year, I would like to ask three things of you. First, to engage each other with curiosity, not condescension. Second, to encourage your peers to express their thoughts so you can discuss and debate them, to persuade or be persuaded by them. Don't shout over them or otherwise try to shut them down. And third, bring the best version of yourself to our community. Honor your own values, but keep an open mind to learning from others' perspectives. You'll be amazed at what a remarkable group of fellow students you will encounter, many with views that don't necessarily square with your own. Engage them. When appropriate, challenge them, but do so respectfully, and above all, learn from them. Class of 2024, you've had a first-year experience unlike any in our university's history. But each of you has truly risen to the challenge as you finally come together in person. It's with the strength and self-knowledge that your experiences have instilled in you. As you connect with our community and our campus, I encourage you to engage your curiosity, to engage with one another, and to engage with our world, and to devote your energy, your enthusiasm, and your talents to making it better. I can't wait to see what you make of your time here and the wonderful things you will do both at Stanford and beyond. So I have just one final message for you. Class of 2024, welcome, finally, to Stanford. And now I'd like to ask you to stand, if you're able, for Stanford's alma mater and remain standing through the benediction. Please stand. Thank you. And it's my honor to introduce our student soloists, Jin Hee, Catherine Lee, and Wesley Montgomery.
Where the rolling foothills rise up towards mountains higher, where at eve the coast range lies in the sunset fire, flushing deep and paling. Here we raise our voices hailing thee, our alma mater, from the foothills to the bay. It shall ring as we sing, it shall ring and float away. Hail Stanford, hail! Hail Stanford, hail!
Please join us in welcoming Laura Hafez.
وقل زدني وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. And say, my divine teacher, increase me in knowledge. To my fellow classmates, welcome, and thank you for being here. What a great privilege it is to be a student at such a prestigious institution of knowledge. To every group here, whether you are a person of faith, a person of no faith, or a seeker, welcome. You belong here amongst us all, and I pray that your experience here is full of light and knowledge. Someone once said, knowledge is power, and indeed it is. The foundation of every successful nation and civilization is knowledge. Seeking knowledge polishes our soul, it develops our personality and the way we think. It transforms information into a bright light, paving the way for our ever-changing journeys. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ once said, he advised people to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. So I want to share a prophetic prayer with you that states, God, grant us the thirst to seek knowledge, the humility to know our limitations, the wisdom not to abuse our knowledge in a manner that harms others, the compassion to use knowledge to improve people's lives, and the courage to turn knowledge into a tool to advance justice and challenge injustice. With that being said, class of 2024, welcome to Stanford.